Trip here at financiallypossible.com. Today we're going to talk about wealth. When I was really young, I used to think that building wealth was just tracking a number, getting net worth to grow to higher and higher amounts. I'm older now and I feel I'm a little more experienced. I understand a little bit better what actually makes me happy. And what I feel is wealth today is more within the context of building a family. Wealth is, to me, having experiences, enjoying time with my wife, seeing her smile, seeing her be happy, getting to enjoy great dinners that we prepared ourselves, but maybe didn't spend a whole lot of money on. Not everything in life that can bring a lot of value or joy to you requires spending a lot of money. I'm very happy when I get to see my daughter experience things for the first time in her life. She smiles so amazingly, and it's just really amazing to see how quickly she learns things. And I'm learning things every day myself too. I've been reading so many finance books. Knowledge is a form of wealth. Experiences, happiness. This is what really drives wealth to me. And someday soon, I'm going to be financially independent, which means, in my estimate, that I won't have to worry about money anymore. And that will make me feel even wealthier because it's just one less thing that I have to worry about. So let me show you how I used to track my net worth. Very unelegant approach here, and my wife liked to make fun of me for doing this. It's sort of ironic that I work in technology, yet I'm very non-trusting sometimes of technology. Very archaic way to do things, given the times that we live in. She was on my case for several months to try out this new software that a lot of other bloggers were talking about, and that she had heard from other people, called Personal Capital. And I finally gave in. We gave it a try, and I'm so happy that we did. It's been about a month now that we've been using it, and it's a truly amazing piece of software that allows you to track your wealth and manage your wealth. And the company itself offers wealth management services. Let me show you some slides on how it looks when you sign up for Personal Capital. This is the login screen when you're first creating an account. And there is this little nuisance that they require you link at least one financial account just to be able to create an account. We didn't really expect that, but once you link one account, not a big deal. You can get logged in and start tracking your wealth. This is an example dashboard, and the dashboard on Personal Capital is really one of my favorite features. It shows things like your income stream, the transactions for your deposits within your account, your expenses, so any credit card transactions or anything that you link in, you can keep track of all your expenditures. It keeps track of all your investments and the types of movements that they do over time. And my favorite feature of the dashboard is right here on the right-hand side. It shows every day what my top 5 gainers and losers are for the day. Both in terms of percentage and in terms of dollar amounts. So the dashboard is a really nifty part about Personal Capital. It's probably my favorite feature. This one shows an example dashboard for the part that I really like the most, which is the top 5 gainers and the top 5 losers of the day. Really not much more to say about this one. They have this concept called a U-index. I'll get into that a little more later. This is a performance tracking screen within Personal Capital. This example here tracks the U index, which is just your own personal blend of investments. And then you can track it against, say, the S&P 500, which is US stocks, or the Dow Jones, which is a small group of US stocks, or foreign stocks, or US bonds. And you can compare how your allocation, your blend of assets, are performing against each one of these particular asset classes. This example shows the U index in blue here, the darker blue, and it shows the foreign index against in this lighter bluish teal color. It's pretty cool to be able to see this. Now this is the really nifty part about studying your asset allocation. This particular example shows it just for a single account. It shows the number of accounts right up here. It's one thing to really pay attention to. You can look at all your accounts in combination, or you can get fine-grained and look at each account in isolation. It shows how that particular account is invested. So this little box down here, that's the US stock portion for this account. There's a lot of international stocks in this account. There's a little bit of alternatives. US bonds is another large chunk. International bonds, and then this little slice over here is cash. But what's really cool about this screen is you can dig in deeper on each one. So if you were to say click on international stocks, you can see specific symbols and then break down developed and emerging markets. And for US stocks, you can look at large caps, mid caps, small caps. They go into amazing amount of detail, and they slice apart each index fund that you own, and we'll say, okay, you got some of this index fund, maybe it's in various categories of US stocks, and other parts might be in international, and yet more, even a little piece might be in cash. So you can see pieces of the same named index in various parts. It's just so amazing that they keep track of all this data daily. Okay, so this is one of Personal Capital's advisory tools. It's a comparison of what they consider an optimal allocation versus what the user's current allocation is. This particular graph shows that, they feel like it's a little out of balance. That's just Personal Capital's opinion. Maybe the investor here feels like, well, I have possibly some specific reason to not be keeping the assets allocated in the way that they're advising. So take it with a grain of salt, but it's nice to have a second opinion always when you're looking at your finances. This screen shows inputting a manual allocation. One of the accounts that my wife and I have is for her 401k, and it had a little bit of difficulty pulling in the information when we linked her account. It couldn't find tickers for some of them, and in other cases it picked up tickers and they weren't the right price. For the tickers it couldn't find, we found out we could go to this manual input screen and tell it, what is this fund composed of? So for instance, we put in like 96% US stocks, mostly US stocks. And then I think there's a little foreign and maybe a little bit of cash. But we were able to tell Personal Capital, this is what's in this particular fund. So then it doesn't show up as unclassified on that asset allocation screen that I was showing. That way you get a more clear picture of what it is you're holding. Pretty cool. My last two charts are some of the really interesting advisory tools that they have. This one is the retirement fee analyzer. And this one is just for 4 accounts. You can even analyze it at the single account level, or you could analyze all your accounts together. But what it's showing here is a timeline. The dark blue section is the money that you put in, like your contributions. So day 1 is like the current time, and out here is out towards retirement, basically. So you see there's a slope here, and that's adding in your contributions each year. And so you can put that into the assumptions. How much are you contributing each year? The light blue area is the investment gains, average projected investment gains over time. So you see that as you go out further out in time, the investment gains become much greater than your actual contributions. But back here at the beginning of time, this moment in time, it's all contributions. Then they show this little sliver here, which is the red section, which is how much you lose due to investment fees. These things called expense ratios. The lower your expense ratio, the less of your money you lose due to these investment fees. And so that's a big part of what they'll flag for you, is how much of your money are you losing due to these investment fees. The lower your expense ratio, the better off you are. And then another one of my favorites is the retirement analyzer. You can put in all sorts of projections here. What might your retirement date be? How much do you anticipate you'd spend? Do you have other sources of income? Do you have children that need to go to school? And how much might you be putting forth towards their college expenses? When do you plan to start taking Social Security? You can edit all these assumptions within this tool. It's really cool. And then they run something called a Monte Carlo simulation. I think of gambling, and like basically it's thinking of all the possible outcomes. And they give you a score of how likely you are to succeed with this retirement plan. So this particular plan shows, well, there's a 98% success rate. So only if the investment returns are in the worst 2% of possible outcomes would your retirement plan fail. It's really cool. It's something to definitely play around with a lot, and it's one of the key reasons I would suggest you'd sign up for Personal Capital. Now, my wife's website, missfinancialliteracy.com, which I'm going to put in the show notes, she's got an excellent review of Personal Capital written. It shows a lot of these same screens, but it goes into even more detail than what I've just covered in this video. Definitely worth your time to read. And if you do decide to sign up for Personal Capital, please use that link there that she provides. We'd love to have you join and get to make use of this excellent software wealth management tracking tool. Thank you so much.